nobody in the Senate that can lecture me on immigration. This is not a political issue. I've lived it my whole life. This is not immigration. 3.3 million people released into the country.
What?
5 to 10,000 people a day illegally arriving in the country.
What?
That's not immigration. Immigration is a good thing. Mass migration is a bad thing.
Of thousands of Venezuelans, potentially exposing them to deportation. The High Court this morning granted an emergency application filed by the administration to move forward with reversing a decision made by the Biden administration. It extended protections for 350,000 Venezuelans under the federal Temporary Protected Status program. The status allows people already in the U.S. to live and work legally because their native countries are deemed unsafe for return due to natural disaster or civil strife.
Flashback.
New York lawmakers struck a deal this week to dump $2.1 billion into a COVID relief fund, which will benefit illegals who lost their jobs during the pandemic.
What?
The so-called Excluded Workers Fund offers one-time payments of up to $15,600, and the bill is footed by, you guessed it, the taxpayers.
What?
No wonder over 170,000 persons attempted entry along the southern border in March alone. The Dems are handing out cash. Here with reaction, author of the MAGA Doctrine, founder of Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk. Okay, Charlie, welcome. What do you think of this?
When you subsidize something, you get more of it. What's happening in New York is a trend that we have seen in our country of the Democrat Party that is giving preference to illegals over our fellow countrymen. And this is exactly what the Democrat Party's new position is, which is financially and through fiscal policy, try to put money towards people that have broken the laws and are illegally harboring themselves into our country. How are they going to justify this to the people that are out of work in New York while illegals are getting up to $15,000? It's a violation of the constitutional compact that looks after our fellow citizens. And Judge, this is another piece of evidence of where the Democrat Party is headed. This would have been unthinkable a decade ago. No Democrat would have been able to even mention this. Now it's public policy.
And, you know, the amazing part of it is when you talk about New York, I mean, you know, first of all, the federal government has bailed New York out. I mean, the blue states have been bailed out. Now they're going to raise taxes by $4 billion, and I live in New York. And now they want to pay illegals $15,000. What about people who've lost their businesses and everything? How about senior citizens? You know, how about veterans?
Yeah. Totally. And Judge, I'm going to tell you where this is headed next. Soon they're going to say, well, if illegals are working and they're getting money from the state budget, why shouldn't they be able to vote? You're already seeing that on a local level in California, where illegals are able to vote in local elections. This is the moving of the Overton window, which is just a way of the ideas on a political spectrum move ever so slightly. And all of a sudden you go from where illegals are possibly entertained to influence our elections. Judge, this has to stop. And I'm not surprised at the ever progressive trend in New York.
This is not immigration. 3.3 million people released into the country. 5 to 10,000 people a day illegally arriving in the country. That's not immigration. Immigration is a good thing. Mass migration is a bad thing.
This afternoon, the Supreme Court says the Trump administration can cancel temporary protections for nearly 350,000 Venezuelan migrants.
This order is also procedural and administrative in nature, but make no mistake, it still has significant implications for hundreds of thousands of migrants in the U.S. who are relying right now on deportation protections and work permits that have now been revoked.
A few moments later.
Ever since that day, I live with anxiety. I can't sleep. I don't feel well. This woman, who we will call Maria, says she did not want to use her real name, concerned she could be targeted. But she does want people to know her story. She told us, I don't want to go back. She's a mother of 3 children who are American citizens. She asked us not to show them. Maria arrived from Honduras in February of 2005. 2 months later, she had an order to leave the country after not appearing at a hearing, but she never left. I asked her why she did not go to the hearing.
Yo le dije al oficial Yo no tengo familia.
I told the immigration officer I don't have any family in this country or a specific place to stay. She told me she entered the U.S. through California.
Pero en ningún momento me llegaron ningún documento.
I never received any document and they did not know where I was going to be. This month she received this letter at her house in South Florida. She has been fined for more than $1.82 million.
It says that the government could fine an individual, an undocumented individual, daily $500.
Michelle Sanchez is Maria's attorney. She showed us the document Maria received.
They're supposed to say on the date that she was advised, and this is blank because they never advised her of the penalties.
Okay.
So that's going to be my argument.
The 1952 Act has historically rarely been enforced, but in February, the Trump administration announced it will penalize people living in the U.S. illegally under that act.
What she has is an order of removal in her absence.
Is that still accumulating even today?
Yes. It's
So that
circular.
figure is increasing.
It could increase. For me, that is absolutely nuts.
Sanchez filed a motion to reopen her client's case last year under a policy of the Biden administration, giving ICE attorneys the discretion to reopen cases and lift removal orders.
Have you ever been arrested?
Nunca.
When I asked her if she would voluntarily return to her home country,
Me dolería tanto dejar mis hijos.
it would be extremely painful to be separated from my children. This is their country. This is all they know. Please have mercy. I want to stay with them.
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
The Trump administration is offering illegal immigrants $1,000 to leave the U.S. on their own. This money helps cover travel costs for those who choose to return home using a government phone app called CBP Home. To get the payment, immigrants must use the app to tell the government they are leaving. Once confirmed to be back in their home country, they receive the money. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said in a statement, "This is the safest and cheapest way to handle illegal immigration. Instead of arresting people, the government is helping them leave voluntarily. It costs over $17,000 to arrest, detain, and deport someone. Self-deportation saves money and reduces risks for law enforcement." One immigrant from Honduras has already used the program to travel home. More trips are planned this and next week. Immigrants who tell the government they are leaving will be a lower priority for arrest by ICE. The CBP Home app replaced an older app called CBP One, which the Trump administration shut down. The government also reminded immigrants they must register under the Smith Act, a law from 1940 still in effect.
A few moments later.
Married for 28 years to my husband, who is being deported right now by ICE. 28 years. He's been here over 30 years, and I want everybody to know, nobody gives a shit if you have family, if you have kids. They don't give a shit if they're taking your husband or your father away. They are taking my husband away. These are FBI agents who work for Border Patrol. Okay? I want everybody to know, my family was just separated. They have taken my kid's father and they don't give a shit. They have taken my husband away. I want everybody to know. They have taken my husband away. They don't care if they're separating families. Please, somebody, I need somebody to help me. I want everybody to know what they're doing. They are taking my husband away. They don't give a shit.
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
You got a point right here. It is. Boom, bam, bop, bada bop, boom, pow.
I asked, given that you are anti-immigration and that you are disparaging going to college
I'm
in general.
anti-illegal immigration, just to make sure. I'm anti-foreigners breaking into our country. So I have to clarify you on my position. And I want the best people to be here, merit-based, but I don't believe immigration is a charity. You should not come here just because you want to, and we're not going to open our doors as just an act of benevolency. We want the best people that are going to assimilate and make our country more competitive.
That's fine. I'll grant you that.
I want more Elon Musk and less Elon Omars. Does that make sense?
Well, that's bait, but okay.
So that's the type of legal immigration I want. More Elons, less Elons.
Okay.